What's up, guys? 954, first guy in the chat. 954, welcome back, man. John the Bot is back. Yo, Canes, I smell it. Canes, I told you I booked my flight, and now it's even more locked in. Omaha, we're coming. We got to check the score for Miami. I saw that Miami was up. I didn't see the final, though. Man, NC State is down bad. They get beat by Liberty tonight, even though Liberty's really good, guys. Liberty, watch out for Liberty. You know, if they win the Conference USA, that is a team you do not want to face in a regional with their pitching. Wake Forest got beat by High Point 1-0. Miami just dominated FGCU 12-4, almost as much as Georgia Tech dominated Auburn, but we'll get to that in a second. Virginia beat Old Dominion 16-2. Virginia Tech beat Radford. Florida State beat Stetson. North Carolina is getting beat by Campbell right now, 4-2 in the sixth. But everyone else in the ACC took care of business tonight. Now Tate DeRios has found the zone. Now we just need him to find some deception in his pitches, and we can win a natty. That's big. And you know, I told you that about Ogden. I mean, I think like Ogden's the type of hitter with his experience and the number and what he's done in the past. Like he just gets going, similar to Drew Burress. Like Drew Burress seems like he's back. Had a good game tonight against Auburn. But yeah, DeRios is huge for Miami. If he can kind of if he can find the form he had for Miami last year, that's a huge, huge plus. I haven't been to Omaha, but I need to go. I've been to Omaha. I've never been to Omaha for the College World Series. I played in Omaha. Is I think still the Royals AAA. I played there a ton. What a game tonight. What's up, Nancy? Yeah, great game. Great game. Bullpen was lights out. Offense was the Georgia Tech offense. You know, it's not. It's like honestly, it's like not. You don't even get surprised, but like you just what was it? The third inning when they put up 6 runs, or the second inning maybe. It was just like boom, 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 boom. It was just. All of a sudden, it was 6-3 when you were down 3-0. Arkansas down bad right now. Yeah, I saw they were losing. But they are winning against Missouri State, but it's 14-12. He was pumping 94 and right down the zone. All of his outings, he has been out of control and hasn't had any feel for any pitches. It's a good sign. He still got ripped, but it's a good sign. True, right? Got to take the positives. Texas State, Texas closed late. Oh, yeah, 9-8, bottom 7. Wiley Ballard enjoyer in the chat. We ended FGCU players' 45-game hit streak. Oof. That's tough. Burr is starting to catch barrels, says Burke. What's up, Burke? Yeah, Burris, he's looking like he's getting back to himself. I did not like his first at bat. He swung first pitch on a ball up out of the zone, just being way too aggressive. But besides that, the rest of his at bats were good. I have the McDonald's All-American game. One of our high school players is in it. Nice. Been to Omaha the last 4 College World Series. Won't make it this year, unfortunately. Travel ball. Yeah. Doesn't that suck? Missouri State's a good team. Yes, Missouri State is very good. Campbell up on UNC. Yep. Fun walk-off for Caleb Daniel. Yep. I mean, Georgia Tech's offensive depth is just insane. You know, like Parker Brocious has been starting in left field lately, which I agree with because I think he gives you better defense, better base runner, better approach at the plate. Caleb Daniel certainly has a little bit more thump in the bat. So it's just crazy that I have to read the super chat and it already looks a little sketch. It's crazy that he doesn't play, you know, but that's how good the offense is. You made 10 cents from me on an ad. Nice. Perfect. That's what I'm trying to do, man. And it was a true freshman making his second appearance who ended his streak, and the freshman looked fire. I'm telling you, man, we are freaking loaded. I love to hear that, man. Not a bot. And Kyle, I'll let you date my daughter. You seem like a great guy. Let's talk college. Let's talk some college baseball. Well, I'm married. So I can't do that, but I appreciate the sentiment. Mark Wilton. Hi, Kyle. What's up, Mark? How you doing? Vaughn has been great. Yeah, I mean, Vaughn Lackey's just been, he's been really good. Not a bot confirmed. Yeah, I mean, I don't, the whole thing about dating his daughter didn't have to get thrown in there. But hey, it's a $10 super chat, so okay. But ring on my finger, right there. See that thing? I am taken. Sorry, Kyle. I am worried about user 954 at the $5 super chat. Wow, boys are feeling generous tonight. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Really appreciate that. It's just a date. Oh my God. Yeah. Let me, I think, you think that excuse will work for my wife? I think it'd have to be bigger than a $10 super chat for that to work. But hey, again, appreciate it. Appreciate it. Now Kyle will make 1680 on the stream. 100%, man. 100%. WH, what's up? Haven't been here in a while. Quick question. What do you think is the biggest reason big teams fall during the midweeks? I think it's multiple things. One, it's the midweek, so you got your fourth best starter on the mound. And in college baseball, anything can happen. So when you have a mid-major facing the weakest arm of a bigger team, it's going to happen sometimes. The other part is sometimes teams just don't take it as seriously or as serious as they should. And so I think it's mostly those two things. One, it's the chaos of throwing your fourth best starter. And usually some bullpen arms that don't typically pitch on the weekend, which, anything can happen. And then they just don't take it as serious as they should, WH. But thanks for joining back, man. Can you use that $9.99 to send me a can of European Zen pouches? No charity in this stream. What's up, Charles? How you doing, man? Hitting. It is the difference for us this year. Yeah, I mean, for sure, Miami has a lot more room for error this year with their offense. And the pitching is starting to look like it's... I mean, the pitching really has been... I'd have to look at the numbers, but the pitching's has been solid for Miami this year. But with the better offense, certainly you would think they're a better team this year than they were last year, right? There's no doubt about that. Michael and my son were throwing together at EP4 tonight, Canes. Ooh, Canes, get on that, man. Get on that right away. Washington is dumpstering Oregon State right now, 9-1. But I think the story of the week, guys, is Georgia Tech. You sweep a top 15 team in NC State, and then you beat Auburn 13-3. Who another thing we need to talk about is the ranking mix-up, the ranking change or mix-up we had this on Monday. Auburn dropping 13 spots or 14 spots or whatever it was, maybe 15 or 12 spots. I don't know were they 5? I think they were 5. So they dropped 13 spots. That's a huge drop. I did not expect Auburn to drop that big. And listen, Auburn's a lot better team than 18. Auburn's pitching staff came into the night against Georgia Tech, basically the number one pitching staff in the country by all the numbers. ERA, all the ones that really, again, if you give up a couple earned runs per game, as a staff, that's about as elite as it gets. So for Georgia Tech to do what they did tonight, very impressive. Opinion on Tennessee so far. What's up, Vols? I think it's just the offense, man. The offense has not been. I think the Tennessee pitching staff has been really good. Obviously, this past weekend was tough, but it's just been really the issue for Tennessee has been the offense. It's just inconsistent, not scoring enough runs. So I think they have a solid team. If the offense can get going, I think they are a really good team if the offense can put up a decent amount of runs per game. But right now, they're just not putting up enough runs. We are 8-0 in the midweek. I can't remember the last time we've been 8-0 in the midweek. That's huge too. People if you go undefeated in the midweek and you do pretty good in conference play, you're set up to get a host. That's a lot of times that's what it comes down to is a team didn't take care of business in the midweek. WH, I figured the regional small teams have a roster full of players who wanted to go to the big state teams but were rejected and want to kick their ass. Yeah, that's part of it too. 100%. And it's thanks to the bats. EP4 is one of our pipelines, Kyle. It's a facility in New York. Nice. That's 4 losses in a row for Auburn. Yeah, it is. But Auburn's going to be fine. Auburn's going to be really good at the end of the year. You talk about a team that's built to win a regional. It's Auburn. I got some Banna Helwitz for you, Wiley. You also get hitters resting fairly often for precautionary reasons from any minor injury, et cetera, from the weekend. Yeah, but I think that's more rare. I mean, that does happen, but you're never going to sit a guy unless it's like a minor injury, because like hitting is such a rhythm type thing. And so you got to like, you never want to take a guy out for just give him a break if he's on a heater, you know. The GT win is huge for the ACC. We needed that. Going 0-2 to Auburn would hurt the ACC. 100%. Agreed. Because then the whole like, oh, the SEC's better narrative would be in full spin. What you got for me, 954? UCLA, USC this weekend. Who you got? Is Rock a lock for the #1 pick this year? I think he is. As long as he puts up like a solid year, like, you know, obviously solid for him is different than other people, but I think he is. I mean, everything I've seen of him, I love his swing. I think his swing is chef's kiss. It's a really great swing. EP4 is a D1 pitching factory and first rounder with Slime last year. Auburn is a good team. Very good team. Hey, Kyle, big win for GT. Huge win for GT. Swedish pouches, Wiley. Auburn dropped too far. Bama has won 6 straight SEC games, including a no-hitter. Yeah, Alabama's way better than... Alabama should be like ranked a lot higher. EP4 is where Eric Peralta is from. If he finds control, we will never lose another game this year. 8-0 midweek is very impressive. What team was that? That's Miami. Kyle, I sent a few emails to you about my son, Harry. Just wondering if you got them. I've been having issues with my email, just so you know, Mark. So I'll go through it tonight. All right, I'm looking at it right now. I'll make sure to connect with you sometime tomorrow, Mark. Sorry about that. Auburn will be in the Atlanta Regional, I think, in Kennesaw 3 seed. Potential. I don't think Auburn. I think Auburn ends up being a host. Just to be honest, I think they're definitely a host. Again, I mean, they got to take care of business in the SEC, but I just think their team is too good. UGA has struggled with midweeks. Came back tonight, unfortunately. Yeah, they came back. I mean, their offense is legit, man. It's so legit. Fair. Just saying, things that guys play through on a weekend can have them sit on midweeks nowadays. Yeah, I think it's rare, but certainly if if they have like a little hamstring tweak or something, and you're facing a team you think you can do without them for a game, that you'll see that happen. How's Oregon State ranked where they are? Oregon State has a good team. Like, I've never said they don't. But I definitely agree with you, Charles, that their ranking they're always overranked. Their RPI is always way too high because they play a bunch of like road series against like not great competition, but because it's road series wins count more in RPI. But yeah, I think they're always kind of overranked because they don't play anybody. So what's the test? I mean, how can you rank certain teams behind them that are playing in the ACC or in the SEC? That's where I don't like it. Is Lackey first ACC player off the board? I think as of now, yes. Hemingway Global with bracketology. Wow. Yeah, coming in with a bracketology. That's right, Charles. They schedule lots of away games. Yeah, they do. Have to go. New to this dad stuff. Hey, I hear you, man. Hey, and it's like that for a while. Miami will be a host. That's literally how 954 the road series. The road series are OP to the RPI. They are. Like, if you win a series on the road, it boosts your RPI way more. And so what Oregon State does, because they're not in a conference, they play a lot of road series against like not great teams, and they sweep them or they win 2 out of 3. And so they get like against a team, if they played them at home, wouldn't give them a huge RPI boost. They get a big RPI boost because of it. I challenge anybody, go look at Oregon State's schedule up to this point, and then the future schedule, and ask and tell them, and then go look at their RPI, and you'll be like, what? Oregon State would be 500 in conference in the SEC. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Like, I think Oregon State could compete in the SEC. Are they going to be one of the best teams in the SEC? No. And I think you could say the same about the ACC. I think they would definitely compete in the ACC, right? They would be at worst, middle of the road SEC or ACC team, but we'll never know because they don't play anybody. Did you see the week Landon Harrison had for Arizona State? Yeah. I mean, that kid's killing it. What has he got? 18 home runs now? 18 home runs? And he's hitting out of the leadoff spot. Miami wins one conference series, and Canes has them as a fringe national seed. Yeah, that's how Canes is. That's how Canes is. O'Neal Cruz messing up another ball in the outfield, by the way. I don't know how this guy keeps playing center field. Like, how many misplays on routine balls can you do before the decision's made? Like, hey, we can't. The pitching staff's going to revolt. They're going to be like, hey, can we get this guy out of center field? It's not a beer. It's Coke Zero. Switching, by the way, Texas State, and Arizona, West Virginia. Arizona State, baby. That's John's team. I love you, Canes. We all love Canes. After this weekend, we will have won 11 out of our last 12 games. No, the Miami's playing good, man. Miami's playing good. And then who does Miami play this weekend? Thursday matchups this weekend with Easter. Miami will play. Oh, Miami doesn't even play on Thursday. Does Miami not play this weekend? Oh, Miami plays Virginia Tech. Okay, so Miami's got a good chance of getting at least back to 500, if not above 500 in ACC play. Georgia Tech's got a great chance to get to 12-3 in the ACC. They're playing Cal, who's 1-8 in the ACC right now this weekend. Cruz actually got worse this year somehow. I mean, it's, I could go on all day about it, but it's not even worth it. And after FIU, it will be 12 of 13 wins. And after Wake, it will be 15 of 16. What do you mean Wake? Don't you guys play Virginia Tech this weekend? O'Neal Cruz is not a very good player, but he hits the ball at 120 once a year, and Twitter wants you to think he's Griffey. Yeah, I agreed. And that's the caffeine. I think it's got like 40 maybe, which is, to me, might as well be nothing. It's got 34 milligrams. I mean, I'll tell you guys just from experience. I mean, this is how analytics people think. Is they think, oh, he's an athletic guy, and he can put him in the outfield. Anybody can play the outfield, and it's, again, if you've never played the outfield before, it is not easy. You watch guys in the big leagues, or you watch guys in high-level college baseball that have played there their whole career, and it looks easy, but it's not. And when you make a mistake in the outfield, it's a 2 or 3 base error. Right? In the infield, you boot a ball, it's usually a one base error. In the outfield, you misplay a ball, it's 2 bases, usually 3, and that changes games. I don't think you want to peak in late March, Canes. Buddy doesn't even know the Canes schedule. Texas bomb. I'm going to pull that game up here in a second. Who are the top teams in the ACC right now? I think it's pretty straightforward. It's Georgia Tech, UNC, and Florida State. If you look at like just record stuff like that and how teams have played, those are the best teams in the ACC right now. Virginia as well is in the top 10, but you got Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Florida State, and Virginia all in the top 10. So you'll obviously go with those. But the ACC is deep this year, man. Boston College at number 22. Notre Dame was in the top 25 last week before getting knocked out by North Carolina. So there's a lot of, and those are 2 teams no one thought would be in the top 25. So the ACC is incredibly deep this year. Wake is next week. I'm expecting to sweep them as well. They're not playing great right now. So Georgia Tech and UNC says 954. Georgia Tech and Miami, like I've always said, Canes, of course. Also with Cruz, he'll throw a ball 102 across the infield into the third row of seats, and people think it's really cool. Yeah, and it's like on a routine play, and it's like, all right, who cares? Cruz has unlimited upside, they say. Yeah, whatever that means. What was the most embarrassing error you made in the outfield? Oh, my gosh. I mean, a great one. Like first game in big league spring training with the Reds, with the Brewers. I'm in left field. And of course, I get hit like a top spin, like 110 off the bat. Just only way to describe it is like a bastard read, like just impossible read. I go down, I charge it, and a thing just top spinning like crazy. I go to my knees, try to block it, hits off my, like right up here off my chest, bounces behind me. I keep the guy from, luckily I block it up enough to where the guy doesn't get to second. So it was kind of not an error, but still, it's like an embarrassing thing. And I run into the dugout, and Pat Murphy, who was the bench coach at the time, he goes, "Hey, Ren, let's try not to tackle the baseball anymore, all right?" And like Pat's whole thing is like when he ribs you, like he's trying to see, all right, can this guy take it, or is he going to get all defensive, or is he going to get like his feelings hurt? So I just laughed at him. I was like, "Yeah, try not to do it. I'll try not to do it again, Murph." But yeah, that was embarrassing. And I don't think Cruz even works on outfield. There's a lot of infielders who can make the plays. He's not making center field. Yeah, you're not wrong. Like it's blatantly obvious that he's not getting work in. Like, I don't know, is he out there shagging fly balls in BP? It doesn't look like it. Got the Campbell UNC game up. Campbell up 4-2. Who's had a worse transition, Cruz to center field or Christy Nome's husband? Dude, my wife just told me about that, and I haven't seen any of the stuff about it, but she was telling me about it, and I'm like, what? No way Notre Dame was ranked. Yes. Yeah, Notre Dame was like number 23 after this past weekend, and then UNC swept them. But yeah, no, UNC's good, man. Or sorry, Notre Dame's good. I think we are better than UNC and FSU even more now because they don't have Bailey. Well, you got to prove that, Canes. You got to prove that. The only team in the ACC I see playing further in the playoffs in Miami is Georgia Tech. I mean, dude, certainly Virginia's really good. UNC's really good. FSU's really good. Miami is good. But Miami's got to show it against ranked opponents. I think that's the next step for Miami is, you got to beat Virginia Tech this weekend. But like when the more difficult part of the schedule comes up for Miami, which it is, they gotta prove it. Canes is absolutely amped. Yeah, he is. Canes is like living high on the hog right now. He's really liking what he's seeing out of the team, which is good. Why are some of these midweek relievers so trash? It's because, I mean, like every team's got guys that will throw in the midweek that have like 2 innings on the year, and they have 2 innings on the year for a reason. So you're gonna see guys that aren't as good in the midweek. That's why you see more upsets in the midweek. They said I was crazy last year. Only one team played further than us last year. True. But I remember me and Dusty having to talk you off the ledge, if I do recall, at some point in the year. All right, let me see if I can pull up some of these games here. Pull up this Texas State game. All right, that's 10-8. Nothing really going on. Let's see if I can get this UNC Campbell game. And we are 10 times better, I think. I don't J if the team is as close as Brothers as last year, but production and talent 10 times better. I don't know if the team is as close as, yeah. Canes, I don't know how many typos are in what you just typed, but I think I understand what you're saying. 100%. I think, again, you got to subtract Griffin Hughes from that team, and Griffin Hughes was legit. But certainly overall, as a team, Miami is much better. Campbell heading to the top of the 8th with a 4-3 lead over UNC. What do you think that suitcase speaker is playing for Texas closer in the pen? Who knows? Well, Canes, you are crazy. So, did you ever get in trouble for live streaming commentary for these ESPN games? No. As long as I don't have the audio or the video on, I can talk about all I want. My dad is an IP lawyer. Really? Baseball coaching and recruiting question. All right, shoot away, Canes. Tennessee versus LSU this weekend. Yeah, that's a battle of two teams that need to prove it. That's a battle of two teams that need to prove it. And Tennessee, listen, I mean, you think about that weekend, 3 walk-offs. So like they very easily could have swept the weekend, or at worst gone 1-2. They could have gone 2-1, but like all 3 games went Vandy's way. So Tennessee, as much as it looks really bad to get swept by a Vanderbilt team that has not looked great, it's not like you got blown out every game. I mean, you got walked off 3 times. Which I would actually like to if one of my quants could figure out the last time a team in the ACC or SEC lost all 3 games by walk-off in a weekend, I'd love to hear when the last time that happened. Any chatter from your buddy Elander? What's the inside scoop? I mean, I haven't reached out about the season. Again, it's his first year. Obviously, he's under a lot of pressure from what Tennessee has done the last 3 years. So, I'm going to let him do his thing, and I'm hoping the best. I'm hoping that Tennessee kind of figures it out offensively for the remaining part of the season. Because I do think they're a good team. Their pitching is really good. It's just the offense isn't scoring enough runs. How important in today's era is it to have coaches/support coaches that are young, between 22 to 40, to relate with these kids in this era of college baseball? Certainly it's a big deal, Canes. Like that's not something I ever really cared about. I wanted guys that were good, that were going to develop me, that were going to coach me hard. And I never thought, oh, well, they don't have any like really young guys on staff. But I mean, it is important. I think you need at least 1 or 2 guys like that can relate. And that at least in the last 15 to 20 years have played at the college level at a high level and had success because they've been in your shoes and they can relate to it. I'm looking at the young guys in our support staff. We have Alex Giroux, who was on the team last year. He was our midweek guy. And Brian Garcia, the great closer for us. He is an assistant pitching coach. Oh, yeah, it's important, man. It's important. Because those can be the guys on the staff that are more like, you don't want to say friends, but they're more like peers with the players. Whereas you need guys that are also going to be the ones who are, they got to say the hard truth and they got to rip a guy when he needs to be ripped. I'll never forget my first year as a student assistant back from playing. I was umpiring one of the inter squads, and it was a breaking ball right down the middle, strike 3. And the kid was a freshman. He threw up his arms, like looking at me, and I just went right at him. And I said, I just went at him and ripped him apart. Like it's right down the middle. What are you arguing? Are you arguing with me, one of the coaches? And he came up like at the end of the practice and apologized for it. But like you have to be able to do that too. You can't just be the like, oh, nice guy, best friends with a player, because as a coach, like you have to tell these guys when they're messing up. If a guy doesn't make a play in the outfield, you're not like, hey, go get him next time. It's like, hey man, you got to make that play. I remember Tres Gonzalez doing that once or twice in the outfield. He would come in and I'd say, hey dude, like you got to get there. You got to get that. Because he's got to know you're a good enough player to get there. That's the expectation. The expectation needs to be met. Can't imagine being a Vol sports fan. You should do keyboard typing ASMR. Oh no, who knows what I just did. Shouldn't have done that. Donde está Dusty? I think he's on a date with his wife at the Fox Theater tonight, so I don't think he'll be tuning in. How much money are guys making on NIL these days? Hundreds of thousands, Hemingway. The best players in college baseball are making like multiple hundreds of thousands. Wiley, what team do you support? He's a Georgia Tech guy. I told you we would end FGCU's 45-game hitting streak. Streaks come to die at Mark Light. All the Miami fans are feeling great right now. Any procreation sesh pointers? Heard you're 2 for 2. I think that's genetic, man. I think that's genetic. You just kind of... I'm not going to say anymore. Okay. But you're exactly right. 2 for 2. You know those old like Xbox gamer tag names? It was like XX, one shot, XX. Like that's me. Kenny Rogers on the mound for Texas. I support the Yellow Jackets. Kenny Rogers. Kendall Rogers. Chat, please congratulate Kyle on his swimmers. Yeah, strong. They can swim with the best of them, man. Michael Phelps is what we call him. Arkansas, Missouri State turned into a football game in the 10th. What is it now? $14-14 into the 10th. Holy cow. I'm turning that game on. Because a friend of mine, Deck McGuire, is the pitching coach for Missouri State. And Missouri State's good this year, man. $954 is indifferent. He is battling demons. What is Dusty seeing at Fox Theater? I love that place. I don't remember what it was. He's one of those that always roots for us, but he also thinks JD will never lead us to the promised land. So if we lose, it ends this JD era faster, and we can win natties again. I don't understand that at all. I mean, he got you the Super Regional last year, right? Very easily could have been in Omaha last year. I got a question, Kyle. Shoot, John. What do you got? No Canes. I'm just reasonable. Well, listen, I mean, if you want to say what you, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion about JD. Everyone is. But I can just tell you from everyone in the industry, people thought he should have had that job a long time ago. Quite frankly. So, and he's got Miami on the right track. And, you know, I think everybody, especially in this era now, they want, the head coach to come in and like they win the national championship in year one. And that's just not how it goes for most schools in the country. Fox Theater is screening the Melania biopic. Dusty's outside picketing for No Kings. I noticed that this year in March Madness, not a lot of smaller schools won because of NIL. Will we see a program like Coastal back in the finals? What's the difference between NIL and these sports? Certainly in baseball, NIL is getting bigger and bigger. It's not nearly as big as it is for basketball and football. Like in terms, and the reason for that is obviously number one, all the money goes to football. First off, like majority of NIL money goes to football. The rest of it goes to basketball. And in basketball, you have like what? 9 guys on the team, 10 guys on the team. So like you can pay those guys, only 10 guys. Baseball, you got 34 guys. And it is at most schools, not a profit generating sport. Although I'll tell you what, I mean, Georgia Tech's, I don't know if you've seen this WBE, but Georgia Tech's fan base this year has been insane. Every home game is sold out. Student section is packed. It's standing room only, basically. So, I mean, Georgia Tech's looking like a program, if they can continue that, where baseball will be a, profit-generating sport, which will be huge. And I think they were talking on the broadcast today about, potentially doing something in right field with stands, which would be interesting to see how they would do that. But I think that would be sick to have a student section over there. JD has sold me, but he makes some dumb coaching moves. Everybody does make dumb coaching moves like throughout the course of the season. The question is, does it happen like on a consistent basis? Virginia dropped one spot after losing a series to, at the time, unranked Boston College. Talk about making a top 10 matchup for viewership this weekend. No, I think rightfully so, D1 baseball was recognizing that Boston College is on a heater. They're one of the hottest teams in the country. So like, but I agree. I understand the sentiment that like Auburn got swept by a really good Alabama team who's now in the top 25 and they dropped like 13 points. I looked it up tonight at Fox Theater is Dancing with the Stars live. Oh, okay. No wonder Dusty didn't tell you. Crowds have been crazy. Georgia Tech. Yeah, they've been crazy. Is Cuvée killing his draft stock this year? He's been underwhelming. No, he's still hitting for power. His batting average is a little bit lower than I would like, but I think his walks to strikeouts are really good. And I do think, again, like he's going to be fine. And like, I'll give you a little hint about how the draft works now. If you have a track record like Cuvée or Drew Burress, and with the batted ball profiles they have, where like Drew Burress today, I think he had like 2 or 3 base hits at 108 or higher. Like the analytics guys, like they're not going to care that he had a down year. They're like, this guy's batted ball profile is elite. He has an elite track record. We're going to draft him. DH always talks about getting right field stands, doable but expensive / difficult to make it work well with the street. Yeah, it is, but I think they could find a way to do that. It would be sick. Oh, Arkansas with the walk-off bomb. Or sorry, Missouri State. Oh my gosh. Missouri, I thought, dude, I totally didn't see that inning ended and it went to Missouri. Missouri State walk-off bomb. Bomb, too. Holy cow. Left center bomb out of the stadium, basically. Love that Kane's only framing for a coaching comp is just the other Miami coach you've heard of. Did you see Will Baker bunt to beat the shift? Surprised we don't see more of that. Yeah, I mean, I loved it, man. I loved it because you do that. Like if teams think that's something like you do it once, you're not going to see a change. You do that 2 or 3 times and teams start to think, okay, like we can't just way shift him. They can't do the shift nearly as extreme, or they have to at least keep the third baseman in. So you have a massive hole where shortstop would be. So I want to see more of that. What's the chances Bailey goes to the draft, Kyle? I think there's high chances that Bailey goes high in the draft. Depending on the medical, how bad the injury is, recovery, stuff like that. But I mean, again, he hits the ball like 120 off the bat. He's got huge power, really good hitter. He's going to go high in the draft. The injuries, I don't think the injury is going to. Now, certainly, could he have gone even higher if he continued what he was doing for a full season? Probably. But he's going to, I doubt he makes it back to Florida State. Just looked up Georgia Tech's baseball field. Can you see the city of Atlanta in the background? Oh, yeah. You see the entire Atlanta skyline in the background. It's probably the best background of any college baseball stadium in the country. All you see is like massive skyscrapers all lit up. It's sick. It's awesome. Arkansas going to Missouri State on a Tuesday is hilarious. Yeah, and then losing 15-14. SEC is struggling a little bit right now. Remember, Kyle, Missouri State has a top 10 pick, the center fielder that stayed instead of getting $500K in the portal. True. Yeah, walk-off bomb. Well, we're gonna drop off that game now. All right, let's go back to Texas State, see how that's working. Oh, it's over. Okay. That game's over. These games are flying. Is LSU I know we got a game, Southern versus LSU. LSU just made it 8-6, but still. LSU is up 8-6 with 1 out in the 4th. But dang. All right, let's go to UNC Campbell. Tie game now. UNC's tied it. Where do you see Advincula going in the draft? I like the way he plays. I think he ends up going like probably somewhere between like 18 to 30. Now, certainly he just has an amazing year about the end of the year. He could go higher than that. I think he is a second baseman. I don't think he can play short. I don't think he has the arm to play short. But he's a very sound defensive second baseman. He's got an elite approach, elite bat to ball skills. He's got some sneaky pop. I will say, right center at Georgia Tech in this era of college baseball, he's going to hit for more power than he probably hits for as a pro. But I like him as a leadoff type guy. So it just depends on what analytics guys think. So he could go lower than expected if analytics people think, he's not as good as it's not as good as he is, which is what some will say. But some, and again, the thing with analytics is you can make a case for someone being way better than people think or way worse. So it's hard to say with him. LSU was the best team in the country last year by far. Jared Jones is legit. Where is he at now? He's in pro ball. I don't know where in pro ball though. Pitcher for Campbell's name is Jet Music. Oh my gosh. That's him. No way. Kyle, the guy that hit the home run is the top 10 pick. Yeah. What a legend. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that was a bomb too. I don't know if you guys saw that home run, but it was like deep left center, way out of the park. That's some serious oppo juice. Analytics or eye test? I think both. You got to be able to do both. And if you're not utilizing both, then you're gonna miss on guys. Because if you're, again, like a guy like Advincula who doesn't strike out a lot, his average exit velocity is going to be lower just because he puts the ball in play. So with 2 strikes, he may hit a little. And I've made this argument before where like I was negatively impacted by analytics because instead of striking out, I'd hit like a dink flare into left field for a base hit. But now my average exit velocity goes way down because it was like 40 off the bat. Right. So like you have to be able to look at the analytics, but also look at the eye test and say, okay, well, his average exit velocity is a little bit lower than what we would like. But that's because with 2 strikes, he shortens up. He's not afraid to get jammed and he can get hits that way. Whole state of Florida will miss the 8. Was your family wearing blue or gray during the war between the states? Actually, both sides blue. And actually, crazy story. So this is actually an awesome story. So my grandfather's family on my dad's side is from Tennessee. My mom's family's from like Pennsylvania. We actually have my ancestor who fought in the Civil War was an officer. I think he was a captain. We have his sword. We have his like metal canteen. So we have like some artifacts from the Civil War, and we always figured, listen, my grandfather's family's from Tennessee, probably fought for the South. But actually, from that one of those DNA websites, there's actually we found letters and stuff from like my ancestor on my dad's side, and he actually detested slavery so much that he fled the South, fought for the North. His wife, like, basically divorced him because of that. Him and his best friend, they left to go fight for the North. He married his best friend's wife and had kids and fought for the North. And that's where my family comes from. So it's actually a really cool story. Because I think a lot of people, like the media narrative is that like anyone in the South was basically like racist, like wanted slavery. And I thought that was a really cool story, that there was probably a good percentage of people in the South that were like, nah, I don't think this is right. And so I actually we have those letters. And actually one of the letters even said, it was funny enough, it was like, the Wren men were well known for having strong opinions. And my mom was like, oh my God, that's 100% true. Florida lost to Jax. Dude, Florida is like Jekyll and Hyde. Like, you don't know which Florida's going to show up. Miami up to 22 in RPI. No one is stopping this train. I need to get me a camel hat. Bucky, I had a camel hat growing up, and the back said Humpers. I didn't know what it meant. Kane says that's awesome. Lots of Tennessee fought for North, especially east of Nashville, where there weren't many plantations. My ancestor thought slavery I don't know what that means. Haha, wow. Yeah, but I thought that was cool. It was just like, because you just made the assumption is that like everyone in the South just fought. And obviously the other thing is most of like the grunt soldiers, it's not like their opinion mattered anyway. They were fighting because they were enlisted. But my relative who was from Tennessee, like fled the South to fight for the North. And I think he was even enlisted. He was like forced enlisted with the Southern Army. And when they were near a northern military encampment, he fled and went to fight for the North. And actually in the letters, it says that like he wasn't going to fight for the side of the war that supported slavery. So I thought that's a pretty cool story, because you don't ever hear that, Well, we got a game here at Campbell, North Carolina, 4-4 in the top of the night. If you didn't commit to Georgia Tech, would you commit to the Vols? Yeah. So the funny thing is this, Tennessee Vols, I was offered by Auburn, Tennessee, and Georgia Tech. And so I definitely, now you have to remember Tennessee in like 2010 era, 2011 was my spring of my freshman year. Tennessee was very bad. They actually made me my biggest offer. They offered me 65%. And I really liked the coaching staff. Like Bradley LaCroix, who's now the head coach at Liberty, was the recruiting coordinator who offered me. And I actually really, really liked Tennessee. But at the time, I really liked Auburn the most. But Auburn didn't offer my twin brother. So then that made Georgia Tech back in the mix. Georgia Tech was going to, and here's the decision I made. I made the decision to commit to Georgia Tech was because all three of their outfielders were going to be gone the year I got to campus. So there was going to be 3 spots to compete for. So I chose Georgia Tech purely on that. And it ended up being the best decision I could have made. But the Vols were definitely in the mix. What do you think is the difference between Danny Hall and James Ramsey coaching styles? It's hard to say, Hemingway, because I was always there. When I coached with Georgia Tech, obviously DH was still the head coach and James was the hitting coach. So James is very, like, as far as the hitting coach goes, like, think James is the best of both worlds, meaning like he's gonna dive into the analytics. He's gonna improve your swing over the fall. And you see that with every Georgia Tech hitter. But he's also big on coaching the approach and coaching, scouting and getting a scouting report, giving guys the best information they need without making it too much. So I think James in that way as a hitting coach was very, very organized, very analytical, but also very baseball guy too. And so in that way, he's a lot like DH because DH obviously was a big, like just old school baseball guy who started to really buy into the analytics when it came into college baseball. But I don't have an idea of like how he is as a head coach compared to DH because I've never, I haven't been involved with the team since in this first year as him being a head coach. So it's hard for me to say exactly how things are different. DH was he was going to push you hard. He was going to call you out when you made mistakes. Like he was an old school coach. And I actually loved that about him. Like, I love the fact that if I was not taking care of business, I was going to get called out. If I was late to practice, which I was one time because I forgot it was after school was out. It was later in the season. And I forgot we had moved practice to 12 o'clock or 1 instead of like 3:30. And so I thought, oh, yeah, I'm going to show up early, get some lunch, chill in the clubhouse before practice. And I'm getting ready to leave. And my brother had left earlier that morning because we were living at home then because we were out of school. And I remember thinking and I actually told my brother, I was like, he kind of screwed me. Like he could have been like, hey, you going to head to the field? I thought he was leaving early to go hang out with his girlfriend or something. And so I get in the car to leave and I'm like almost to the highway. My brother calls me. He's like, hey, dude, where are you at? I'm like, I'm about to get on the highway. What's up? I'm probably like 20 minutes from Georgia Tech. He goes, dude, practice starts in 10 minutes. And I thought, oh my God. So I get there, I dress as fast as I can. I'm like 15 minutes late. And I get out there, I go right up to DH. I'm like, hey, like DH, I'm so sorry. Like I just totally forgot we moved practice times. He goes, start running. And so I full cleats, full uniform. I start running laps around the field. I get my first lap and I'm going like pretty good pace because I want to show that I'm remorseful. And Matt Skoll, who was our junior third baseman at the time, this is my freshman year. He goes, hey, he's like, slow down. Because obviously he had to do this one point. And this is, it's like 95 degrees. I mean, it's like brutal. I ended up running 13 laps around the field before he said, all right, you're good. Which is probably the equivalent of like at least a couple miles. And my calves for the next 2 days were on fire because you're running in spikes, My ancestor thought abolition was temporary, called dibs on all his slaves in his final will in the event that it came back. No joke. Oh my gosh. Monroe County, Georgia, like Pie Gal, actually. Did DH take over right after Morris left? Yes. Yeah, he took over right after Morris. He was there from, I believe his first season was 1994 and was there until last year or until this year. Or 1992. I can't remember. I can't remember the dates exactly, which year it was. Blue Green Streets laughing. Yeah, it was brutal, man. I never was late to practice again. Albeit again, I didn't. It's not like I was like lazy and just showed up late. It was like I thought I was going to be 3 hours early, and I ended up being 15 minutes late. So, but I always told my brother, I'm like, dude, you screwed me. Like, why? Like when you were leaving, like why wouldn't we drive together? Like he just left without saying. I'm like, dude. You didn't say like, hey, you want to ride with me? It would have been very easy. I would not have had to run 13 laps at like 95 degrees because it was like right before, it had to be like right before the ACC tournament. It might have even been before we left for the ACC tournament. 1994 to 2025. Yes. Yeah. 1994. So it's been a long, I mean, he was the head coach for a long time. Who do we think's going to pull this away? Campbell or North Carolina? Campbell's got one out so far in the bottom of the ninth. He was head coach longer than I've been alive. Yeah. Almost as long as I've been alive. If you're ever around DH, man, he can tell he's got stories for days about players he's coached, coaches he's coached with. He's got so many stories. I mean, it's like every day in the coach's clubhouse, there was like a new story, which that was the great thing about getting to come back and coach. Because as a player, you have a certain relationship with the head coach, which is, you know, you're close with them, but at the same time, there is a little bit of a gap in the relationship because they are the authority, right? So you're not going to say certain things to a head coach that you would, even with an assistant coach. And so when I got to go back and coach with DH, it was like our relationship grew even more and became a much bigger thing because now we were peers, right? And he respected my opinion. Obviously, I respected his opinion. And he really gave me a lot of leeway in what my responsibilities were, even as a, you know, again, I was a student assistant, but I had also played, I was an All-American at Georgia Tech, and I had played 7 years professionally, 5 of those in AAA. So I had a ton of experience at a very high level. So, but he was, the thing about DH is he's always like he was not the type of guy to like overcoach somebody, meaning he's not going to start talking adjustments for hitters or anything until you're really failing and showing and struggling. Like my freshman fall, they never changed anything about my swing. And then after the fall, he was like, "Hey, I want to see if we can just lower your hands a little bit more in your setup, because with your speed, we want you to hit a bunch of low line drives and ground balls and just like hit it and run." And that one adjustment, I ended up basically leading the ACC, led the ACC in hits in the regular season and just killed it. And it was like, it wasn't anything about my swing. It was just like, hey, let's lower your hands in your swing a little bit. Great storyteller. Him talking about being stuck in traffic was must-see TV. Anytime he was telling a story, it was must-see TV. To be honest, anytime he still does. I mean, he calls me about once a month, pretty much. He called me last week, and he was just like, "Hey, Renner, what's up, man?" I'm like, "Hey, what's up, DH?" He's like, "I want to see how you're doing." You know, there's no agenda to it or anything like that. He's just like, "I just want to see how you're doing. How's Julie? How are the kids?" Well, Campbell is going. We are going to the top of the 10th. Iconic hand motions, yeah, iconic. And I said that big. He's big on that. That's right. Exactly. Okay. Yeah, his mannerisms are like, they're so, you can mimic his mannerisms very easily. Scott Forbes at UNC gets extended through 2031. Good for Scott. Brent Key, I guess, got the ball that Von Lackey hit out tonight. He was out there, I guess. ACC Baseball Buzz is with a chick right now, by the way. No way. Picks or it didn't happen. Picks or it did not happen. Forbes gets paid to get extended. I have to spend $9 at the gas station counter to get extended. Well, I'm sorry about that, WB. I don't have the same issue. Wait, so Coastal was almost lost to Citadel earlier. Are they still playing? Oh, they won. They won. They beat Coastal 3-2. Campbell gets a leadoff walk. Washington is beating Oregon State 12-2 in the top of the 7th. We're in run rule territory. They're going to pinch run. And this guy is the son of Royce Clayton, former big leaguer. Guy's pinch running for Campbell. He's got 15 stolen bases on the year. Chat, wake up. Yeah, no, chat's kind of dying on us, huh? Texas best team in the country, no cap. Yeah, I agree. Campbell UNC is crazy entertaining right now. Yeah, it is. I'm watching it right now. I've never hit a home run. How does it feel? I didn't hit that many, but it feels great. 8 days from the quant stream, by the way, true. I know. I got to start doing some research. That's the thing. I'll let you guys do most of it, but I got to do my own research. Three weeks ago, I thought Auburn was the legitimate 3-ranked team in the nation. It seems after Texas beat them a few weeks ago, that team has actually fell apart. Oh, man, they picked off Clayton at first base. Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I mean, with the lefty on the mound, you just cannot make an out there. Oh, the quick step off move just got him. No, David, I think Auburn at the end of the year is still going to be very good. They're definitely going to be a host. Their pitching is too good. They have a really solid offense. So they're definitely struggling right now, but Auburn's going to be fine. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they're going to be back in the top 10, I think, by the end of the year. Great stream for us college steam heads. Glad I found it tonight. What's up, Brad? Glad to have you in here, dude. I do this pretty much 6 days a week. So hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell for notifications. Yeah, Brad, welcome. We're all a bunch of college baseball nut jobs is what we are. We're watching Campbell, North Carolina right now. Who's your team, Brad? This is going to really hurt if this turns into a walk. Great job by the hitter getting this to full count. Man, Campbell's 11-1 in the CAA. Okay. And it's a walk. Imagine being UNC and having to deal with one at the end of your record every game because of the tie. Yeah, I know. That sucks. I hate that the tie thing. UT grad? All right, so is that Texas or Tennessee? Is that Texas or Tennessee? And you're probably going to give me crap if I'm for saying that, but in the last 8 games Auburn has played, they are 2-6. The majority of those losses were not necessarily close. Yeah, but it's against good. Listen, Alabama's a lot better than people. Certainly, Alabama should have been ranked. Alabama's got a really good team. So the loss, that series sweep. Listen, getting swept sucks, but it looks worse than it is because I think Alabama is going to be a really good team at the end of the year too. I don't think they're going to be a top 10 team, but I think they end up being like top 15. That's what I figured. Yeah, the real UT Austin. That's what I figured you were going to say. But you gotta ask the question. We do have some Tennessee people in here. Let's see how our favorite Oregon State is still 12-2. Oh man. Man, UNC can always pitch, man, and they've always been able to pitch. Since I was playing against them when Scott Forbes was just a pitching coach, they've always been able to pitch. I am not so sure Alabama will win the regular season as a top 15 team. Well, we'll see, David. We'll see. Understood. Haha. Yeah. Back on. What's up, JD? We're watching UNC Campbell right now. Oh my gosh. Heck of a play by UNC's third baseman. No way I just saw what I just saw. The base runner for Campbell, or the hitter for Campbell, was rounding the bag. He thought it was down the line. He was rounding it like he was running for a double. Watch how he finishes through. He's coming back into the line. What a play by UNC's third baseman, though. Wow, that saved a run. Unless it gets cut off, Tennessee fans not welcome. Of course they're welcome here. Can UNC get the last out? Campbell's going to need a base hit. They're going to intentionally walk him. Okay. I'm guessing they're walking him to face the lefty. Yep, left on left matchup. So I like it. Tennessee fans welcome, but we'll hear team slander. Maybe from you guys. I'm not going to slander them. I'm just going to tell the truth and, what they do well and what they're struggling with. And Maybe why they're in the situation they're in right now. Oh no, bobbled it. Still gets him. Man, and that pickoff hurts, man. That pickoff hurts. Totally different inning if that guy, if Clayton doesn't get picked off there. I got a feeling UNC is going to walk it off here. Alabama barely beat Jacksonville State today, but Jacksonville State, look about how about Jacksonville State? 24-6 on the year, 9-0 in Conference USA. 9-0. Conference USA's got some teams, guys. Missouri State, Jacksonville State, Liberty. Portland beat Oregon 3-0, two-hit shutout, midweek madness. Yeah, that one will keep you up at night as a coach. And see, now you got a guy pitching that's got 10 innings on the year, 11 hits given up, 10 walks, and 8 ERA. This is midweek right here. Is Clemson going to bounce back? Because most teams are playing Thursday this week, right? So you can't throw a ton of your like best guys. So you got to start going with guys that you're like, you wouldn't necessarily want to throw in a tie game in the bottom of the 10th. Is Clemson going to bounce back? I had them in GT in the ACC final beginning of the year. It's tough to say, JD, because they got pitching. Clemson's very similar to Tennessee. They've got very good pitching, but the offense has just been inconsistent and really on a season level has not scored enough runs per game to win a lot of games, certainly in conference play. So I think Clemson and Tennessee are very similar. Like if the offense can figure out a way to click, they'll be fine. I'll say this, the later that continues to be a theme, the harder it is to recover from. So the more and more that Tennessee and Clemson struggle offensively, it becomes harder and harder to break out of that. And that's when you start thinking, all right, are we going to play some guy? Let's put some new guys in the lineup, see what happens. Like, I think both teams are at the stage where like they got to try something like that. This guy's got a pretty good arm for Clemson, 93. Okay. That was just Bayou. Bottom of the zone, little two-seamer, a little bit of sink. I really want this game to end before I got to end the stream. I really want it to end. And this guy for UNC does hit the weight room. Oh, he got a good one to hit too. Danny Graves just said it too. A lot of these guys look like they've been in the weight room. They do. Yeah, and this arm coming in was like, you're like, oh, UNC may be able to end it. He's just throwing nothing but strikes, pounding the zone. He had 10 walks in 10 innings coming into the game. And just blowing it away by UNC's hitters like 91, 93. Thing's got some ride on it. It's got some. And you know what? Here's an interesting take. From watching Georgia Tech's, certainly the NC State series and watching the Auburn game, one thing I've noticed, and in all 4 games, the pitching staff's done very good. A lot more fastballs being called. Like, not afraid to call fastballs 1-2, 0-2, or just like 0-1 or 0-0, 0-1 to get ahead. And it's amazing, like, in this era of college baseball, I think there's a lot of pitching coaches that are scared to throw fastballs because they think, oh, it's going to get clipped and it doesn't have to be hit that hard, or at least doesn't have to look like it got hit that hard to get out. But you see, like right there with UNC, this guy for Campbell's just like pounding heaters in the zone, and they're all late. And it's like 91, 93. It's not like it's a crazy fastball. And one thing I've noticed the last 4 games for Georgia Tech is there's a lot higher percentage of fastballs being thrown. And the correlation is they haven't given up any runs. How many of the guns are juiced in college? I mean, I think, listen, the guns are juiced in this way. The guns now pick up the velocity right after it leaves the hand. Whereas 15 years ago, and maybe even a little bit earlier, maybe even a little bit later than that, certainly 15 years ago, the gun would pick it up 10 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet out of the pitcher's arm. So that extra 15, 20 feet is gonna equate to, like, if the ball, let's say like a 91 mile an hour fastball crosses the plate at 82 to 84. So that's like 2 miles an hour right there. So they're not juiced in the sense that, like, you know, They're just more accurate now. So someone that threw like 91 25 years ago was probably throwing like 93, 94, if that makes sense. So it's not that the guns are juiced, they're just way more accurate. And so comparatively, if you're comparing to like something from 20 years ago, that same person would probably be throwing 2 or 3 mile an hour harder, or 2 miles an hour, it depends on the guy, on the guns now. So when you see like 91, 93, 15 years ago, that's 89, 91, if that makes sense. And nobody really brings that up. Like, I'm one of the few people that actually bring that up, that like the technology is so much more precise now that certainly people are throwing harder on average, but it's not nearly as hard as people would let on. Maybe they're throwing on average 1 mile an hour harder, but it's not like 3. Do you have Virginia? Is it Virginia or FSU this weekend? I like FSU. I like it even without Bailey. I think FSU may have the best starting pitching in the conference. Virginia's got a really good all around team. I think Florida State has the better pitching staff. And so if you're gonna make a prediction, like, pitching usually wins. So I think FSU. I think it's going to be a good series. Like, I think it's going to be a 2-1 series. But I like FSU. I think Mendez on Friday is just really tough to beat. I mean, he's a true Friday ace. He's going to go deep. He's going to strike out a ton of guys. He's not going to give up a lot of base runners, right? And if you're not giving up a lot of base runners and not giving up a lot of contact, it's tough to beat that guy. I think this is my last half inning, guys. It's almost 12 o'clock. So I'm going to need Campbell to do something here to get me to stay on for the bottom half. I'm falling asleep at the wheel right now. And listen, Campbell's has threatened like the last 3 innings. They just haven't been able to cash in. And Rose for UNC is doing a great job. Yeah, I'm out. Peace, y'all. See you 954. Heard chat was dead without me tonight, Kyle. Sorry to disappoint. First time commentator or commenter, long time listener. Nice to have you in here, Sanjay. Thanks for joining. Sanjay Sridhar. And Rose strikes out the side. Had some butter chicken tonight. Oof, I bet it was fire. All right, guys. Sorry, Sanjay, but that's going to be it for me tonight. I cannot stay up any longer to watch this UNC Campbell game. I will probably follow it in bed before I go to sleep. But thanks for joining tonight, guys. Appreciate you. We'll be back tomorrow night to kind of preview the weekend and what to watch for. And so see you tomorrow night.